Hello everyone, Dave Hoey Golf here, back with another episode of Proprio Golf, Proprioception Golf, movements we can do without a golf club at home during our lockdown period. So we've already done grip and posture, we've done swing plane and shoulder rotations, so we're working on our shoulders, freeing up the shoulders, being able to turn a bit easier, and we talked about the kinetic sequence. So this episode is about the kinetic sequence again. Moreover, what sequence do we need to use? So if you remember last time we had an elastic band, we stretched the elastic band. Here we are. So we stretch the band and we have the stretch shortening sequence. So when we stretch and it shortens quickly, we have a lot more energy going into whatever we do. So this is just biomechanics. This is part of it's Newton's laws. So the equal and opposite reaction, which is important to remember because we'll come on to that. So we need to stretch and then shorten. So the kinetic sequence, how does it work? So we hear of ground forces and from the ground up. Well, the kinetic sequence in golf, if we take it to the top of the backswing, so we're going to turn our shoulders, we're going to resist a little with our bottom half. In other words, what does that mean? So we got a little bit of tension, a little bit of muscular readiness in our quads, in our glute. We're turning, and we're just not letting our bottom half go with it. We're trying to keep our bottom half fairly straight on to the camera here. So I'm turning, turn my shoulders, rotate my forearms to the top of the backswing position. So as you can see here on my lower half, I'm still orientated a little bit as if I'm moving left, even though my top half and my weight, because my mass has gone over my right foot. So from here, my kinetic sequence needs to be ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, arms, and then hands and club. So this is an exercise we can do at home. So we turn to the top and very slowly, knee, hip, shoulder, arms, hands. So you're getting to this position. As you can see, my left side has completely cleared out the way. My chest is now starting to face the target, but my arms, if you notice, so let's do it again. Ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, arms, or shoulder, hands, club. So all I'm thinking about is my lower half here. Ankle, knee, hip, shoulder. And so when I get to that position, I haven't done anything with my arms. As you can see, they've naturally, because I've moved my hip, because my muscles were stretched, I've already got into this position. So in a golf swing, this is momentum. It's already been driven, has speed. So that speed would then carry it on to impact. Keep turning the hips, keep turning the shoulders, remember? And there's our through swing there. So again, what we said about before is the swing plane and the rotation of the forearms, it works perfectly with it. So a little bit closer. So we're going to go ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, and let the arms and the hands continue to follow. So back up, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, and we'll get to this position. Let me go side on, you'll see. Because the massive benefit of doing this, not only is hit the ball straighter because it's an automatic sequence, but also further. So we're going back to the top. So it's ankle, knee, hip, shoulder. So I'm in this position. As you can see, if I had a club in my hand now, which would be pointing back here, I would actually be on plane here. So that the physical attributes of this is when we get to the top, turn ankle, knee, hip. So you can see the actual swing plane or the path starts to drop a little bit lower without me even trying to. So those of you that are over the top, it's because we don't use these enough in the right time. So it has to be the first movement down. Ben Hogan said the golf swing happens from the ground up. and nothing's changed since 1955 when he wrote his book. There, so you can see I'm not throwing my arms out here. That will be over plane, over the top. That's the force, that's me trying to push the elastic band. Push, push. I've got no resistance now, my hips have gone. I'm trying to turn my hips, but my top half has overtaken. So what exercises can we do to help this? There's one really good exercise, again from TPI, Tightness Performance Institute. One that's really, really helpful here. And again, this might be the wife and the kids out of the room because it might look a little bit strange. So, in our golf posture, remember 2 points of balance on each foot. So it's the balls of your foot and your heel, toes up in your shoes. The more times you do it, the more times you get used to it. So we're in our golf posture, arms crossed over our chest. So there's two forms of disassociation. We're trying to make our top half disassociate from our bottom half. Second is bottom half disassociated from top half. Some people can't do this, but if you can do it, it still helps your awareness of it and still helps the motion become oily and smooth. So we're doing top half first. So arms cross the chest. All we're trying to do is resist with our legs and our pelvis and turn our shoulders. Turn, 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 turn. So we can see my pelvis isn't moving. Turn, turn. What you might find is actually it goes together. In which case, what we can do is we can stabilise the lower half. Do this against a door frame here. Have a door frame pressed and turn and turn. So remember, it's all at home. Turn and turn. So with the door frame pressed, if we still can't do it this way, then we need to practice on the other side. So the door frame will help stabilise you. So this is torso disassociation. Next, we're going to have pelvis disassociation. So arms across the chest again. This time we're going to move our pelvis and keep our shoulders still. So there to there. So the pelvis is rotating. This is the powerhouse and the first move of our golf swing. So one way and then the other. So again, if we can't do this, maybe we'll slide and sway in the backswing, slide and sway in the foreswing if we haven't got control of this. Again, use of the door frame, but with the top half. Wedge yourself up against the top half. See if we can do it. So those of you that actually struggle with this could be the most important change in your golf swing you've ever seen. If you're on over the topper, it's probably because your kinetic sequence is out or you cannot disassociate bottom from top. There we are. So that will be a massive recommendation to do 20 to 30 of these every day. As I say, you might need the wife and the kids away because they might think you've gone a bit mad. But a really, really good exercise. And I promised you, so we're still going to do it. Ground force. How can we use ground force? We hear it all the time. There's ground force plates, there's pressure plates in the game. It measures where our pressure is at certain points of the swing and how can we use ground force. I mentioned a little earlier about Newton. Equal and opposite reactions. Newton's law number 3. So if I'm stood on the ground, I've got 100% of my weight pressing down. Nice and simple, straightforward. When I turn, that weight, albeit 100%, some of it has shifted because my mass, my top half mass, has now moved over my trail leg. So I might have 80% there, 20% there, probably more like 60-40. So I want to actually press down on the ground to create pressure that I can then, so I've got a reaction from the ground, I've got a force going into the ground, I can then transfer that force, I can use that energy. So we talked about a javelin thrower before. So the javelin thrower plants hard, presses into the ground, stretch, shortening and ground force, and then explodes off of it. So the golf swing, so we need a bridge or we need an anchor. So Ben Hogan talked about the right knee. So he talked about the right knee and the right foot turn into the right knee. The right knee staying over the right foot and turning into the instep of the right foot. This is all right-handers. Sorry, lefties. Obviously, you know to change legs. So we've got something, we're stretching against something. Now we need some downward force. So we're pressing down whilst we're rotating. So ankle, knee, hip, down. This actually helps the rotation of the hips. If we were to just have no ground force, all we've got is a rotation in the air, a bit like spinning. But when we start to use the ground, we had Rory squatting and jumping a few years ago. We have Justin Thomas actually off the ground. His feet, he's off the ground. He's on his tiptoes. So if he's off the ground at some point, he's pressed down on the ground. So he's used the ground for ground force. So the ideal time to do this, to have your press down, have that stored energy so you can release it, the ideal time in the golf swing is what we call shaft horizontal, or shaft vertical. So the shaft will be up here. So I'm coming down, my shaft is down here. My maximum force is here. So shaft vertical, here. Then, as I keep rotating, I can use that force because I've got stored energy. So shaft vertical, so we can do it in our drill. So shoulder turn, so plane, up here, ankle, knee, there. Ankle, knee. You see I've started to move. I haven't pulled the club down, but that's the point that we need to be going down, and then we can come up. So if you try that exercise, down, down, don't do anything with the arms, let them follow. Be aware of where shaft vertical is. Down, shaft vertical, and up. Down, down, and up. And you'll feel the whip. You'll feel where the club accelerates because you've produced stored energy and then released it. And all you've done is use the ground force, but you've used it in the right way. So, disassociation, ground force, kinetic sequence. A lot there to chew over. Please try and do some exercises. We will be on the golf course quite soon. I'd love us to all go out as if it hasn't happened. But let's stay safe in the meantime, respect social distancing, and I'll be back to see you in a couple of days' time with another episode of Proprio Golf. Send your comments, videos, thoughts, send them here. I must say some of this is quite top line, because it's quite general, because it is intended for all abilities of players and all ages. So if we can't do the exercises fully, going through the motions and doing as much as we can, don't hurt yourself, can only help. Okay, great, and I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.